"Why is my mum's picture in your house?" a 9-year-old boy asked the billionaire. He was only there to sell oranges for his sick mother's medicine, but that one question would unravel a decade of secrets, lies, and a love he never knew existed. Sit back as we dive in. The sun was burning hot above Leo as he walked slowly along the streets of the rich neighborhood, holding a heavy plastic bag full of oranges. He was only 9 years old, but he walked with the weight of someone much older. His feet hurt from hours of walking, and his stomach had been empty since morning. He didn't complain. Every step he took was for his mother, who lay sick at home, unable to work and needing medicine they couldn't afford. Selling oranges was all Leo could do. He went from house to house, knocking on big gates, hoping someone would buy something. Most people ignored him. A few said no and closed their doors without a second glance. He didn't give up. His mother had always told him to stay strong and never stop trying. Then he saw the biggest gate he'd ever seen. Behind it stood a huge mansion with white walls and tall windows surrounded by beautiful flowers and trees. He stood still, staring for a moment. The house looked like a palace from a storybook, but there was something sad about it too. It was too quiet too, like nobody really lived there. Leo took a deep breath and walked to the gate. He pressed the small button on the wall. Seconds passed and Leo thought maybe no one was home. Then he heard a crackling sound from the speaker. "Who is it?" a deep voice asked. Leo cleared his throat. Hello sir. My name is Leo. I'm selling oranges. Would you like to buy some? They're very fresh and sweet." There was a long silence. Leo waited, his heart beating fast. He was about to walk away when the voice spoke again. "How much?" Leo's face brightened with hope. "5 oranges for 2 naira, sir, or 10 for 3 naira. It's a really good price." Another pause. Then the voice said, "Wait there." Leo waited by the gate, shifting the heavy bag from one hand to the other. His arms were tired and his throat was dry. He hadn't had water in hours, but if this man bought his oranges, he could buy his mother's medicine today. That thought kept him standing strong. After what felt like forever, he heard footsteps coming closer. The gate buzzed loudly and slowly swung open. A tall man stood in front of him. He wore expensive clothes, a clean white shirt and perfectly ironed black pants. His shoes were shiny and his watch looked like it cost more than Leo's whole house. His face was handsome but tired, with sad eyes that seemed to carry heavy thoughts. His hair had a little bit of grey in it, even though he didn't look very old. This was Adam, though Leo didn't know his name yet. He looked down at the little boy with his worn school uniform and dirty shoes. For a moment something strange flickered in his eyes. Maybe surprise, maybe confusion. "Come in," he said quietly. Leo hesitated. His mother had always warned him never to go into strangers' houses, but the man didn't look dangerous. He looked lonely and very, very sad. "It's okay," Adam said, seeing the worry on his face. "I'll buy all your oranges. You can stand right here by the gate if you're scared." All of them. Leo's eyes went wide with shock. He had 20 oranges in his bag. That would be 6 naira. That was more money than he usually made in 3 whole days. "Yes, all of them." Adam pulled out his wallet from his pocket, but then he stopped and looked at him more carefully. "When did you last eat?" Leo's stomach growled loudly, answering for him. He felt his cheeks burn hot with embarrassment and looked down at his feet. Adam's tired face softened. "Come inside. Let me get you something to eat first, then I'll pay you for the oranges." Leo knew he shouldn't go in, but he was so hungry it hurt, and the man's voice was gentle, even though his eyes looked sad. He nodded slowly and followed him through the gate. The garden was even more beautiful up close. Red roses, white lilies and purple flowers he didn't know the names of grew everywhere. A smooth stone path led to the front door of the mansion. Everything looked perfect, like a picture in a magazine. But it also felt empty, like a garden with no children playing in it. Adam opened the big front door and Leo stepped inside. He gasped out loud. The mansion was enormous. The ceiling was so high he had to tilt his head all the way back to see it. Everything was shiny and clean, Marble floors, crystal lights hanging from the ceiling, soft furniture that looked like nobody ever sat on it. Big paintings in gold frames hung on the walls. But the house felt cold. Not cold like ice, but cold like loneliness. There were no sounds of cooking, no voices, no laughter, no music, just silence that made Leo feel a little bit scared. "Wait here," Adam said, pointing to a chair near the entrance. "I'll bring you some food." Leo sat down very carefully, afraid he might make the expensive chair dirty with his old uniform. His eyes moved around the room, taking in everything. This was what being rich looked like. This man had a mansion, beautiful things, probably more money than he could ever spend. But why did he look so sad? Why did his house feel so empty? Then Leo saw it. On a small wooden table near the staircase, there was a photo in a beautiful gold frame. The frame was shiny and looked expensive, but the photo inside was a little bit old and faded. Leo stood up slowly and walked closer. His heart began to beat faster and faster. He picked up the frame with both hands, which were now shaking. The woman in the photo looked younger and much healthier than Leo remembered. She wore a pretty blue dress and was laughing at whoever was taking the picture. Her hair was long and dark, flowing over her shoulders. Her smile was bright and full of joy. The kind of smile Leo hadn't seen on his mother's face in a very long time. But Leo knew that face. He saw it every single day. Even though the woman in the photo looked so different, so happy, so full of life, Leo knew exactly who it was. It was his mother. It was Sarah. Leo's hands trembled as he held the frame tighter. His mind was spinning with questions. Why was his mum's photo in this rich stranger's house? His mum had never mentioned knowing any rich people. In fact, his mum never talked about her life before Leo was born. Whenever Leo asked about his father or about the old days, his mum would go very quiet. Her eyes would fill with sadness, and she would change the subject quickly. Leo stood frozen, staring at the photograph. His mind was full of questions that tumbled over each other like waves. How did this man know his mother? Why did he have this picture? And why did his mum look so happy in it? Happier than Leo had ever seen her. He heard footsteps behind him and quickly turned around. Adam had returned, carrying a tray with a plate of sandwiches, some cookies, and a tall glass of cold juice. But when he saw what Leo was holding, he stopped dead in his tracks. The tray shook in his hands. His face went completely white, like all the blood had drained out of it. His eyes were locked on the photograph, then moved to Leo's face, then back to the photograph again. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The silence in the big house felt even heavier now. That's my mum," Leo said softly, his voice barely more than a whisper. He held up the frame so he could see it better, even though he was already staring at it. "Why is my mum's picture in your house?" Adam's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked like someone had just told him the most shocking news in the world. The tray in his hand shook even more, and the juice in the glass rippled. He carefully set the tray down on a nearby table, moving very slowly like he was afraid he might fall over. Then he turned back to Leo, his eyes wide with disbelief. Your mother." His voice cracked when he spoke. "What's your mother's name?" "Sarah," Leo answered. "Her name is Sarah." Adam took a step backward, his hand reaching out to steady himself against the wall. His breathing had become fast and shallow. He looked at Leo's face more carefully now, studying his eyes, his nose, the shape of his face, like he was searching for something. "Sarah," he repeated, and the way he said his mother's name made it sound like a prayer and a question all at once. "Sarah? She's your mother?" Leo nodded, confused by the man's strange reaction. Why was he acting so weird? And why did he look like he was about to cry? "Sir, are you okay?" he asked, worried now. "Do you know my mum?" Adam ran his hand through his hair, a gesture that showed how upset and confused he was. He walked to the nearest chair and sat down heavily, like his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. "Know her?" he said quietly, more to himself than to Leo. Yes, I knew her, a long time ago." He looked up at Leo with eyes that were now shining with tears. "How old are you?" "I'm 9, sir. I'll be 10 in 3 months." Adam closed his eyes and took a deep, shaking breath. His hands were trembling. Leo had never seen a grown man look so shaken before. It scared him a little. "Where is your mother now?" Adam asked, opening his eyes again. There was something desperate in his voice. "Where is Sarah?" "She's at home, sir, in our apartment. She's very sick. That's why I'm selling oranges, to buy her medicine." Leo's own eyes started to fill with tears as he thought about his mum lying on the thin mattress, coughing and weak. "The doctor says she needs medicine that costs 30 naira. I've been trying to save up, but—" "Take me to her," Adam interrupted, standing up suddenly. "Please, take me to your mother right now." Leo stepped back, startled by the urgency in his voice. But I don't understand. Why do you have her picture? How do you know my mum?" Adam looked at the little boy standing before him, clutching the photograph like it was something precious. He could see Sarah in his face, the same eyes, the same gentle expression, even the same way he tilted his head when he was confused. His heart was pounding so hard he thought it might break through his chest. Could it be possible, after all these years? "Leo," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, even though everything inside him was shaking. "I need to ask you something very important. Do you have a father?" Leo's face fell. It was the question he hated most in the world, the question that made the other kids at school tease him, the question that made him feel different and incomplete. "No, sir," he said quietly, looking down at his worn shoes. "I don't have a dad. It's just me and Mum. It's always been just me and Mum." Something broke inside Adam at those words. A sound came from his throat, not quite a sob, but close to it. He covered his face with his hands for a moment, trying to control the emotions that were flooding through him. When he looked up again, his eyes were red and wet with tears. "Leo," he said, his voice thick with emotion, I think I might know why your mother never told you about your father, and I think I might know why she had to leave and raise you alone." He paused, struggling with what to say next. "But I need to see her. I need to talk to her. There are things that happened a long time ago that need to be explained." Leo was completely confused now. Nothing made sense. Why was this rich stranger crying? Why did he care so much about his mother? And what did he mean about knowing why his mum raised him alone? "I don't understand," Leo said, his voice small and frightened. Adam knelt down so he was at eye level with Leo. Up close he could see the tears running down his cheeks. This powerful, rich man was crying, really crying, and Leo didn't know what to do. "I know you don't understand," Adam said gently, "and I know this is all very confusing and maybe a little scary. But please, trust me. I would never hurt you or your mother. I need to see her. I've been looking for her for so many years, and now—" His voice broke. "Now you found me." "You've been looking for my mom?" Leo asked, his eyes wide. "Yes," Adam whispered. "For 10 years I've been looking for her." Leo's mind was racing. 10 years. He was 9 years old. That meant he'd been looking for his mom since before Leo was even born. Or maybe since right after he was born. A thought started to form in Leo's head. A thought so big and so scary and so impossible that he almost didn't dare think it. But once it was there, he couldn't make it go away. "Sir," he said slowly, his voice shaking, Why have you been looking for my mum for 10 years?" Adam looked at him for a long moment. He wanted to tell him the truth right then and there. He wanted to say the words that were burning in his heart, but he couldn't. Not yet. Not until he was sure. Not until he had talked to Sarah and understood what had happened all those years ago. "That's something I need to talk to your mother about first," he said quietly. "But Leo, I promise you, whatever happens, everything is going to be okay. Better than okay." He stood up and pulled out his wallet again. This time he took out several bills and handed them to Leo. He looked down and gasped. There were 5 20 naira bills in his hand. 100 naira. "This is too much," Leo said, trying to give the money back. "The oranges only cost 6 naira, and you already gave me money for my mom's medicine." "Keep it," Adam said firmly but kindly. "Use it for your mother's medicine, and for food, and for whatever else you both need." "And Leo," He paused, looking at him with such intense emotion that it made his heart skip a beat. Tell your mother that Adam wants to see her. Tell her that I know she's alive now and I'm not angry. Tell her I just want to talk. Adam, Leo repeated. Is that your name? Yes. Leo's mind was spinning even faster now. He looked down at the photograph still in his hands. Did you love my mum? Adam's face crumpled with emotion. A tear rolled down his cheek, and he didn't bother to wipe it away. Yes, he said simply. I loved her more than anything in the world. And I never stopped. Leo didn't know what to say to that. He had so many questions, but suddenly he felt like he needed to get home to his mother. He needed to tell his mom about this strange, wonderful, confusing thing that had just happened. I should go, Leo said. I should go home and tell my mom. Wait, Adam said. He went to a small desk in the corner and wrote something on a piece of paper. This is my phone number and my address, though you already know where I live now. Tell your mother to call me, or if she won't call, then bring her here. Or, he paused, looking uncertain, or tell me where you live and I'll come to you, whatever makes her feel safe. Leo took the paper carefully and folded it. He put it in his pocket along with the money. I live in the old apartments on 7th Street, he said. Building C, room 12. But our place is very small and not nice like this. I don't care about that, Adam said quickly. I just need to see her. Leo nodded. He set the photograph back down on the table carefully, then picked up his empty bag. The sandwiches and juice Adam had brought were forgotten now. Neither of them was thinking about food anymore. Adam walked him to the door, then stopped. Leo, he said, one more question. Does she ever talk about the past? About anyone she used to know? Leo shook his head. No, sir. Whenever I ask about the old days or about my father, she gets very sad and quiet. She never wants to talk about it. She always says that the past is the past and we should focus on today. Adam nodded slowly, his jaw tight. I see. But sometimes, Leo continued, late at night when she thinks I'm asleep, I hear her crying. And sometimes she whispers a name. I think the name is Adam. Adam's knees almost gave out. He grabbed the doorframe to steady himself. She says my name, he asked, his voice barely audible. Yes, Leo said. She sounds so sad when she says it, like saying the name hurts her. For a moment, Adam couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Sarah had been saying his name all these years. She hadn't forgotten him. She had been thinking about him, even after everything that had happened. Go, he finally managed to say. Go home to your mother. Give her the medicine she needs. And please tell her I need to see her. Leo nodded and stepped out the door, but before he walked away, he turned back one more time. Adam, he said. Are you my dad? The question hung in the air between them like a delicate glass ornament that might shatter at any moment. Adam looked at this brave, sweet little boy who had walked into his life selling oranges, and his heart broke and healed at the same time. I don't know for certain yet, he said honestly, but Leo, I think I might be. And if I am, his voice cracked with emotion, if I am, then I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry you had to grow up without a father. I'm sorry your mother had to struggle alone. Because if I had known you existed, nothing in this world could have kept me away. Leo felt tears rolling down his own cheeks now. He didn't fully understand everything that was happening, but he understood enough. He understood that this man had loved his mother. He understood that something had gone wrong a long time ago. And he understood that maybe, just maybe, his prayers for a family were about to be answered. I'll tell my mom, he said. I'll tell her everything. And with that, Leo turned and ran down the path, through the garden and out the gate. He ran all the way home, his heart pounding, the money clutched tight in his hand, and a hope he'd never felt before growing in his chest. Leo ran through the streets, his empty bag bouncing against his side. He didn't feel tired anymore. He didn't notice the hot sun or his aching feet. All he could think about was getting home to his mother. When he finally reached the old apartment building on 7th Street, he rushed up the stairs two at a time. The building was falling apart, paint peeling off the walls, stairs that creaked with every step, and a smell of dampness that never went away. But it was home. He reached room 12 and pushed open the door. It wasn't locked. They had nothing worth stealing anyway. "Mom!" Leo called out, breathing hard from running. "Mom, you won't believe what happened." The apartment was just one small room with a tiny bathroom in the corner. There was a thin mattress on the floor where they both slept, a small table with 2 chairs, and a hot plate for cooking. The walls were stained and cracked, and the single window had a broken latch. Sarah was lying on the mattress, covered with their only blanket, even though the day was warm. When she heard Leo's voice, she tried to sit up, but the movement made her cough, a deep, painful cough that shook her whole body. "Leo," Sarah said weakly when the coughing stopped, "you're back early. Did something happen?" Leo knelt beside his mother and pulled out the money from his pocket. "Mum, look. A man bought all my oranges, and he gave me this. 100 naira. We can buy your medicine now and still have money left for food." Sarah's eyes widened as she looked at the bills in Leo's hand. "What? Leo, that's too much money. Did you steal this?" "No, Mum, I promise. A man gave it to me, a rich man who lives in a huge mansion. He was so nice." Then Leo stopped suddenly, remembering the photograph. His excitement faded and was replaced by confusion and a dozen questions. Sarah saw the change in her son's face. "What is it, sweetheart? What's wrong?" Leo took a deep breath. "Mum, the man's name is Adam." The color drained from Sarah's face instantly. She looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her hand flew to her mouth, and her eyes went wide with shock and fear. "What? What did you say?" Sarah whispered. "His name is Adam," Leo repeated. "And Mom, he had your picture in his house. A picture of you when you were younger, smiling in a blue dress." Sarah started shaking, not from the fever or the sickness, but from pure terror. She grabbed Leo's arms, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so weak. "Leo, listen to me very carefully," Sarah said, her voice urgent and frightened. "What did you tell him? What did he say to you? Did he hurt you?" "No, Mum, he didn't hurt me. He was nice. He cried when I told him you were my mother. He said he's been looking for you for 10 years. Mom, what's going on? How do you know him?" Sarah let go of Leo and covered her face with her hands. Her whole body was trembling now. "Oh no," she moaned. "Oh no, no, no. This can't be happening. He found us. After all this time, he found us." "Mum, you're scaring me," Leo said, tears starting to form in his eyes. "Why are you so afraid? Adam seemed like a good person. He gave us money. He wants to help." "You don't understand," Sarah cried out, then started coughing again. This time the coughing was worse, lasting longer. When it finally stopped, there were tears streaming down her face. "Leo, we have to leave. We have to pack whatever we can carry and leave this city tonight." "What? Why?" Leo was completely confused now. "Mum, I don't understand. Why do we have to run away?" Sarah tried to stand up but was too weak. She fell back onto the mattress, breathing hard. Because his family will never let us be together. Because they'll try to take you away from me. Because..." She broke down, sobbing. "Because I've been hiding you from him for 9 years, and now that he knows about you, everything I did to protect us might not matter anymore." Leo sat down beside his mother, his mind reeling. Protect us? Protect us from what? From who? Sarah looked at her son's confused, innocent face and realized she couldn't run anymore. She was too sick, too weak, and too tired. And maybe it was time for the truth to finally come out. She had carried this secret for so long, and it had eaten away at her like a disease. "Leo," Sarah said softly, wiping her tears, "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago, but I was too afraid." Leo took his mother's hand and held it tight. "What is it, Mum?" Sarah took a shaky breath. Adam is your father." Even though Leo had suspected it, even though part of him had known from the moment Adam started crying, hearing the words out loud made them real in a way that took his breath away. "He's my dad?" Leo whispered. Really? Yes, Sarah said, tears flowing freely. Now he's your father. And I loved him, Leo. I loved him so much it hurt. He was kind and gentle and good. Everything about him was wonderful. Then why did you leave him? Leo asked, his voice breaking. Why didn't you tell him about me? Why have we been living like this when he has so much money and could have helped us? Sarah's face crumpled with pain and regret. Because I had no choice, she said. Because his mother, your grandmother. She's a powerful, terrible woman who didn't think I was good enough for her son. When she found out I was pregnant with you, she said the pregnancy is not for you and threatened me. Threatened you? How? Sarah closed her eyes, remembering that awful day 10 years ago. She came to me in the middle of the night with 2 big men. She told me that if I didn't disappear and never contact Adam again, she would make sure I went to prison. She said she would accuse me of stealing from their family and that she had enough money and power to make sure I was locked away forever. She said Adam would never believe me over his own mother. Leo's eyes filled with tears. That's horrible. She gave me 1,000 naira and told me to leave the city immediately, Sarah continued. She said if I ever tried to contact Adam or tell him about the baby, she would destroy me. And Leo, I was so scared. I was just 20 years old, pregnant with no family and no money. I didn't know what to do. But why didn't you tell Dad? I mean Adam, the truth. Why didn't you let him help you? Because I tried, Sarah sobbed. I called him the next day from the bus station. I wanted to tell him everything, but his mother answered the phone. She told me that Adam never wanted to see me again, that he knew I was just after his money, and that if I ever called again, she would have me arrested. Then she hung up. Sarah clutched Leo's hand tighter. I didn't know if it was true or if she was lying, but I was so young and so scared. So I got on that bus and I left. I went to another city and had you there all alone. I named you Leo because it means lion, strong and brave, and you were the most beloved thing in my life. Mom, Leo was crying now too. I told myself I was protecting you, Sarah said. I told myself that you were better off not knowing about a father who supposedly didn't want you. But the truth is, I was a coward. I should have fought harder. I should have found a way to tell Adam the truth. Instead, I ran and I kept running. And now? She looked around their tiny broken apartment. Now look at us. You're selling oranges on the street to buy medicine for me because I'm too sick to work. This is what my fear has brought us to. Leo threw his arms around his mother and held her tight. They both cried together for the lost years, for the poverty and struggle, for the family that should have been but never was. After a long moment, Leo pulled back and looked at his mother with determination in his young eyes. Mom, he said firmly, Adam didn't know. He didn't know about me. His mother lied to both of you. I know, Sarah whispered. I realize that now. But Leo, his mother is still alive. She still has all that power. And if Adam tells her about you... He won't let her hurt us, Leo interrupted. Mom, you should have seen his face. When he found out about you, about me, he cried real tears. He said he's been looking for you for 10 years. He said he never stopped loving you. Sarah's breath caught. He said that? Yes. And he gave me his phone number. He wants to see you. He wants to talk. Leo pulled out the piece of paper Adam had given him. He said to tell you that he's not angry. He just wants to understand what happened. Sarah took the paper with trembling hands. She stared at the numbers written in Adam's handwriting, a handwriting she recognized even after all these years. I don't know if I can face him, she whispered. How can I explain why I kept his son from him for 9 years? How can I ask him to forgive me? The same way he's asking you to forgive him for not finding you sooner, Leo said with a wisdom beyond his years. Mum, you were scared and you made a mistake, but you did it to protect me. And now maybe we can finally be a real family. Sarah looked at her son, this brave, strong, beautiful boy who had grown up without a father because of choices Sarah had made out of fear. She thought about Adam and how much she had loved him. She thought about the years of loneliness and struggle, and she thought about that woman, Adam's mother, who had torn their lives apart. What if his mother tries to hurt us again? Sarah asked quietly. Then we face her together, Leo said. You, me, and Dad, as a family. The word Dad coming from Leo's lips made Sarah's heart break and heal at the same time. You really want him in your life? Sarah asked. Even though he wasn't there before? He wasn't there because he didn't know, Leo said simply. But now he knows. And Mum, we need help. You're sick. We have no money. And I'm tired of being afraid and alone. Aren't you tired too? Sarah was tired. So tired. Tired of running. Tired of hiding. Tired of being scared. She looked down at the phone number in her hand and made a decision. Okay, she said quietly. Okay, tomorrow when I'm feeling a little stronger, we'll call him. Why not today? Leo asked. Because I need time to think about what to say. And I need to take the medicine you bought so I can at least sit up without coughing. Sarah managed a weak smile. I don't want the first time I see Adam in 10 years to be while I'm lying on this dirty mattress looking like death. Leo giggled despite his tears. Okay, Mum, tomorrow then. He helped his mother lie back down, then went to buy the medicine with some of the money Adam had given them. On the way to the pharmacy, Leo's mind was full of thoughts. He had a father, a real father who wanted to meet him. A father who had been looking for his mother for years, but he also had a grandmother, Adam's mother, who sounded like a terrible person, a person who had destroyed his parents' happiness and forced his mother to run away. Leo wondered what would happen when Adam told his mother about them. Would the old woman try to hurt them again? Would she try to keep Adam away from Leo and Sarah? Leo didn't know the answers to these questions, but as he walked back to the apartment with the medicine in his bag, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He lay on the mattress next to his mother, staring at the cracked ceiling. His mind kept going back to Adam's mansion, to the photograph, to the way he had cried when he told him about his mother. He thought about all the nights he had wished for a father, all the times at school when other kids talked about their dads taking them to the park or helping them with homework, and Leo had to pretend he didn't care. All the times he had asked his mother, "Why don't I have a daddy?" And his mother had just looked sad and changed the subject. Now he knew why, and knowing made his heart feel heavy and light at the same time. Next to him, Sarah was sleeping fitfully. The medicine had helped with the coughing, but she kept tossing and turning, mumbling in her sleep. Once Leo heard his mother whisper, "Adam, I'm sorry, so sorry." Leo reached over and held his mother's hand until Sarah settled down again. When morning came, sunlight streamed through their broken window. Leo got up quietly and used some of the money to buy bread and eggs from the small store downstairs. He cooked breakfast on their hot plate, something they rarely had money for. The smell of food woke Sarah. She sat up slowly, and Leo was relieved to see that her color looked a little better. The medicine was working. "You cooked," Sarah said with surprise. "I wanted you to have something good to eat before—" Leo trailed off, glancing at the piece of paper with Adam's phone number, which sat on the small table like a ticking bomb. Sarah followed her son's gaze and took a deep breath. "Before I call him." They ate breakfast in silence, both of them thinking about what would happen next. When they finished, Sarah picked up the paper with trembling hands. "There's a payphone downstairs," Leo said. "I have coins." Sarah nodded. She stood up, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders like a shawl. She still looked weak and thin, but there was a determination in her eyes now. They walked downstairs together. The payphone was in the building's lobby, old and scratched, but still working. Sarah took the coins from Leo and stood in front of the phone for a long moment, just staring at it. "What if he's angry when he hears my voice?" Sarah whispered. "He won't be," Leo said confidently. "He told me to tell you he's not angry. He just wants to talk." Sarah nodded and with shaking fingers dialed the number. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Sarah almost hung up. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode. But then came Adam's voice through the phone. Sarah's breath caught. It was him. After 10 years of silence, after 10 years of only hearing his voice in her dreams, it was really him. "Adam," she whispered, It's Sarah." There was complete silence on the other end. For a moment Sarah thought he had hung up, but then she heard him take a sharp breath. Sarah, he said, and his voice was filled with so many emotions, shock, joy, pain, disbelief, that it made Sarah's eyes fill with tears. Sarah, is it really you? Yes, she said, tears now rolling down her cheeks. It's me. Where are you? Adam asked urgently. Are you okay? Leo said you were sick. Do you need a doctor? I can send. Adam, please, Sarah interrupted gently. I'm okay. The medicine is helping. I needed to call you. I needed to explain. You don't have to explain anything over the phone, Adam said quickly. Please let me come see you. Let me see you with my own eyes. I need to know you're real. That this isn't just a dream. Sarah closed her eyes. She wanted to see him too, so badly it hurt. But she was also terrified. Adam, there are things you need to know. Things about why I left. Things about your mother. I don't care about any of that right now, Adam said, his voice firm but gentle. Sarah, for 10 years, I thought you had left because you didn't love me. For 10 years, I blamed myself, thinking I had done something wrong. And now I find out you've been alive all this time. And you had my son. His voice broke. Our son, Sarah. We have a son. Sarah sobbed openly now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have found a way to tell you. I should have been braver. I should have. Stop, Adam said softly. Please, stop apologizing. Just tell me where you are. Let me come to you. Sarah gave him the address, her voice barely audible. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Adam said. Sarah, thank you for calling. Thank you for giving me this chance. He hung up, and Sarah stood there holding the phone, tears streaming down her face. Leo had been standing nearby, trying to hear both sides of the conversation. Now he came over and hugged his mother. He's coming, Sarah said, half in wonder, half in fear. He's really coming. It's going to be okay, Mom, Leo said. I promise. They went back upstairs to their small room. Sarah looked around at the peeling walls, the stained floor, the single mattress, and felt a wave of shame wash over her. This was where she had raised their son. This was what her fear had brought them to. She tried to tidy up, but there wasn't much to tidy. She smoothed out the blanket on the mattress and pushed their few belongings into a corner. Then she looked at herself in the small, cracked mirror that hung on the wall. She looked so different from the young woman in that photograph at Adam's house. Her face was thinner, with lines of worry and sickness. Her hair, which used to be long and shiny, was now cut short and had lost its luster. Her eyes, which used to sparkle with joy, looked tired and sad. You're still beautiful, Mom, Leo said, reading his mother's thoughts. Sarah tried to smile but couldn't quite manage it. She was too nervous. They waited. The minutes felt like hours. Sarah sat on one of the chairs, her hands folded in her lap to keep them from shaking. Leo sat on the mattress, watching his mother with worried eyes. Then they heard footsteps on the stairs, quick, urgent footsteps that got louder and closer. A knock on the door made them both jump. Sarah stood up, her legs feeling weak. She looked at Leo, who nodded encouragingly. Taking a deep breath, Sarah walked to the door and opened it. Adam stood in the doorway. He was breathing hard, like he had run up the stairs. His hair was messy, his expensive shirt was wrinkled, and his eyes were red, probably from crying or from lack of sleep or both. For a long moment they just stared at each other. 10 years. 10 years since they had seen each other's faces. 10 years of questions and pain and loneliness. Sarah, Adam whispered, and the way he said her name with such tenderness and such pain broke something open inside both of them. Sarah started crying again. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. Adam, I'm so sorry for everything. Adam stepped into the tiny room and pulled her into his arms. Sarah buried her face in his chest and cried. Really cried for the first time in years. All the fear, all the guilt, all the loneliness came pouring out. Shh, Adam murmured, holding her tight. It's okay, you're here now. You're safe now. It's going to be okay. Leo watched from across the room, his own tears flowing. He had never seen his mother like this, so broken and yet somehow being put back together at the same time. After what felt like forever, Sarah pulled back slightly and looked up at Adam's face. I have so much to explain, she said. I know, Adam said gently, and I want to hear all of it. But first, He looked over at Leo, who was still sitting on the mattress, watching them with wide eyes. Adam slowly released Sarah and walked over to where Leo sat. He knelt down in front of him, bringing himself to his eye level. "Hello, Leo," he said softly. "Hi," Leo said shyly. Now that he was here, now that this was really happening, he didn't know what to say or do. Adam's eyes filled with tears as he looked at him. He reached out hesitantly, then gently touched his cheek, as if making sure he was real. "You're so handsome," he whispered. "You have your mother's eyes and smile." "And your nose," Leo said, trying to lighten the heavy emotions in the room. "Mom always said I have a nose that doesn't match the rest of my face. Now I know where I got it from." Adam laughed, a sound mixed with tears and joy. "I'm sorry about the nose," he said. "It runs in the family." "I like it," Leo said, then more quietly, "I like having something from you." That simple statement broke Adam completely. He pulled Leo into a hug and held him tight, his shoulders shaking with sobs. "I'm sorry I wasn't there," he cried. "I'm sorry you grew up without a father. I'm sorry you had to sell oranges on the street. I'm sorry for all of it. If I had known, if I had any idea you existed, nothing could have kept me away. Nothing." Leo hugged him back, crying too. "I know," he said. "I know you didn't know. It's not your fault." Sarah watched them, her heart breaking and healing all at once. She had been so afraid of this moment, so sure that Adam would be angry with her for keeping Leo a secret. But looking at him now, holding their son and crying, she realized something. Adam wasn't angry. He was just heartbroken that he had missed so much. After a while, Adam pulled back and wiped his eyes. He looked around the small room properly for the first time, taking in the poverty and bare conditions. "You've been living like this?" he asked quietly, pain evident in his voice. Sarah felt that shame wash over her again. "We managed," she said. "We had each other." "Sarah," Adam said, standing up and facing her. "Why? Why didn't you come back? Why didn't you try to reach me after you left?" Sarah took a deep breath. It was time to tell him everything. "Because your mother threatened me," she said quietly. "Because she told me if I didn't disappear, she would have me arrested for stealing. Because she said you would never believe me over her." Adam's face went pale, then red with anger. My mother did this?" "Yes," Sarah said. She told him everything, about the men who came with his mother in the middle of the night, about the threats, about the phone call where his mother had said Adam never wanted to see Sarah again. With each word, Adam's face grew darker with rage. His hands clenched into fists, his jaw was tight. "I tried to call you the next day," Sarah continued, her voice shaking, "but your mother answered. She said terrible things. She said you knew I was only after your money, that you never really loved me. I didn't know what to believe. I was young and scared and pregnant, and I had no one to turn to." "So you ran," Adam said, his voice tight with controlled anger, not at Sarah but at the situation, at his mother, at the lost years. "Yes, I ran, and I've been running ever since, always afraid that if I came back, if I tried to contact you, your mother would make good on her threats." Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm sorry, Adam. I should have been braver. I should have fought for us." Adam crossed the room and took both of Sarah's hands in his. "Listen to me very carefully," he said, looking directly into her eyes. "None of this is your fault. My mother," he paused, struggling to control his emotions, "my mother is a controlling, manipulative woman who has always believed she knows what's best for everyone. But she crossed a line when she threatened you. She committed a crime when she forced you to leave. But Adam, she's your mother. And you are the woman I love," Adam interrupted firmly. "And Leo is my son, my family. Do you understand? Nothing, not my mother, not her money, not her threats, nothing is more important to me than you and Leo." Sarah stared at Adam, hardly daring to believe what she was hearing. You still love me? After everything?" "I never stopped," Adam said simply. "Not for one single day in these 10 years. I looked for you everywhere, Sarah. I hired investigators. I searched every city. I never gave up hope that maybe, somehow you were still out there and that you still loved me too." "I did," Sarah whispered. "I do. I always have." They stood there, hands clasped, looking at each other with years of longing in their eyes. Leo watched them, feeling like he was witnessing something sacred and beautiful. But then Sarah's expression changed. Fear crept back into her eyes. "Adam, what about your mother? When she finds out—" "She won't hurt you again," Adam said firmly. "I promise you that. But right now, that's not what's important. What's important is getting you proper medical care." He looked at Sarah's thin frame, her pale face, the way she had to steady herself against the table. "How long have you been sick?" "A few months," Sarah admitted. "It started as just a cough, but it got worse. I couldn't afford to see a good doctor, so I just went to the free clinic. They gave me some medicine, but said I needed tests and treatment that cost too much money." Adam's jaw tightened. "Get whatever you need. We're going to the hospital right now." "Adam, hospital bills are expensive." "I don't care," Adam said. "Sarah, money means nothing to me if you're not healthy. Please, let me take care of you. Let me take care of both of you. That's all I want to do." Sarah looked at Leo, who nodded eagerly. "Please, Mom, let's go. You need real treatment." "Okay," Sarah finally agreed. "Okay." Adam looked around the small room. "Do you have things you need to pack?" Sarah almost laughed, a sad, tired sound. "Everything we own fits in one bag." Adam's heart broke a little more. He watched as Sarah and Leo gathered their few belongings, some clothes, a worn stuffed animal that Leo had owned since he was a baby, a small box with a few photographs. That was it. That was everything they had in the world. "Let's go," Adam said gently. He led them downstairs to where his car was parked, a sleek black car that looked completely out of place on the run-down street. People stared as Adam opened the doors for Sarah and Leo, helping them inside. Leo had never been in a car so nice. The seats were soft leather and everything was clean and shiny. It smelled new. He ran his hand over the seat, marveling at how different this was from the buses he and his mother usually took. Adam drove them to City General Hospital, the best hospital in town. When they arrived, he didn't take them to the emergency room entrance. Instead, he drove to a private entrance and made a phone call. Within minutes, a doctor came out to meet them, a kind-looking woman with grey hair and gentle eyes. "Dr. Evans," Adam said, "thank you for seeing us on such short notice." "Of course, Mr. Hayes," the doctor said. Then she looked at Sarah with professional concern. "You must be Sarah. Adam told me you've been ill. Let's get you inside and figure out what's going on." Sarah was taken to a private room. A beautiful room with a real bed, clean white sheets, and a window that looked out over a garden. It was the nicest room she had been in since she left Adam all those years ago. Dr. Evans examined Sarah carefully, asking questions about her symptoms, listening to her breathing, checking her vital signs. Leo sat in a chair in the corner, watching nervously. Adam stood by the window, his hands clenched, worry written all over his face. "I'm going to order some tests," Dr. Evans said finally. "Blood work, chest x-rays, possibly a CT scan. We need to find out exactly what's causing this cough and weakness. In the meantime, I'm starting you on an IV to get some fluids and nutrients into you. You're severely dehydrated and malnourished." Sarah nodded weakly. She was already exhausted just from the car ride and the examination. Over the next few hours, Sarah was taken for various tests. Adam stayed with Leo in the private room, and for the first time they had a chance to really talk. "Are you hungry?" Adam asked him. Leo's stomach growled in response, making them both smile. Adam called for food to be brought up, not hospital food, but real food from a nice restaurant nearby. When it arrived, Leo's eyes went wide. There was chicken, rice, vegetables, fresh bread, and even a slice of chocolate cake for dessert. "Is all this for me?" he asked. "For both of us," Adam said. "Eat as much as you want." They ate together, and slowly Leo started to relax around Adam. He told him about his life, about school, about his friends, about selling oranges every day after class. He told him about the kids who teased him for not having a father and how he used to make up stories about where his dad was. "I used to tell them you were a sailor," Leo said quietly, "traveling the world on a big ship. I said that's why you couldn't be here, but that you sent us letters and thought about us all the time. Adam's eyes filled with tears again. I wish I'd been sending you letters, he said. I wish I had known to look for you. But Leo, I promise you from now on, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be the father you deserve to have all along. I believe you, Leo said simply. When Sarah returned from her tests, she looked exhausted, but was hooked up to an IV that was already making her look a little better. Dr. Evans came in with a serious expression. Sarah, the tests show that you have a severe respiratory infection that's gone untreated for too long, the doctor explained. You also have anemia and signs of malnutrition. The good news is that all of this is treatable, but you're going to need to stay in the hospital for at least a week, maybe longer. We need to get you on strong antibiotics and build your strength back up. A week, Sarah said, worry crossing her face. But the cost is not your concern, Adam interrupted firmly. Whatever it costs, whatever you need, it doesn't matter. Your health is what matters. Dr. Evans smiled. Mr. Hayes has already taken care of everything. You just focus on getting better. Sarah looked at Adam with tears in her eyes. You've already done so much. And I'll do more, Adam said. Sarah, please, let me help you. Let me make up for the years I wasn't there. Sarah nodded, too emotional and too tired to argue. That evening, after Sarah had fallen asleep from exhaustion and the medications, Adam took Leo to the hospital cafeteria for dinner. As they ate, Adam brought up something that had been on his mind all day. Leo, he said carefully, I want to ask you something, and I want you to know that whatever the answer is, it doesn't change how I feel about you. Leo looked up at him, curious. Your mother told me I'm your father, Adam continued, and I believe her, I have no doubt in my heart. But there are legal reasons why I might need proof. Official proof. Would you be willing to do a DNA test? What's that? Leo asked. It's a simple test where they take a little bit of your DNA, usually just by swabbing the inside of your cheek, and compare it to mine. It proves scientifically that I'm your father. Oh, Leo said, like on those TV shows where they find out who the father is. Adam smiled despite himself. Yes, kind of like that. Will it hurt? Not at all. It takes just a few seconds. Leo thought about it for a moment. Why do you need proof? Don't you believe my mum? I believe your mum completely, Adam said quickly. But my mother, your grandmother, she's going to fight this. She's going to try to say that you're not really my son, that your mother is lying to get my money. If we have DNA proof, she can't argue with that. Leo's face darkened at the mention of Adam's mother. She sounds like a very mean person. She can be, Adam admitted sadly. But Leo, I won't let her hurt you or your mother. I promise you that. Then yes, Leo said, I'll do the test. If it helps protect Mom, I'll do it. Adam reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Thank you. You're very brave, you know that. Leo smiled. Mum always says I get that from my father. That night, Dr. Evans arranged for the DNA test. It was quick and painless, just like Adam had promised. A nurse swabbed the inside of Leo's cheek and then Adam's. And the samples were sent to a lab that Adam personally knew and trusted. The results will be back in 3 days, Dr. Evans told them. But I can tell just by looking at you two that you're father and son. You have the same eyes, the same smile, even the same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. Adam smiled at that. He had noticed those similarities too. That night, Adam didn't want to leave Sarah and Leo alone at the hospital. He arranged for a cot to be brought into Sarah's room so Leo could sleep there, and he himself dozed in the chair by the window, unwilling to be apart from them. In the middle of the night, Sarah woke up. The IV and medications were helping, and she felt clearer-headed than she had in months. She looked around the room and saw Leo sleeping peacefully on the cot, covered with a warm blanket. Then she saw Adam in the chair, his head tilted back, asleep but looking uncomfortable. Quietly, careful not to wake either of them, Sarah whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you for bringing him back to us." The next 3 days passed in a blur. Sarah grew stronger each day. The antibiotics were fighting the infection, and proper food and rest were bringing color back to her face. Leo spent his days at the hospital doing homework in Sarah's room and getting to know Adam better. Adam barely left their side. He called his office and told his assistant to cancel all his meetings. Nothing was more important than this, than being with his family. On the third day, Dr. Evans came into the room with an envelope. "The DNA results are here," she said, handing the envelope to Adam. Everyone went quiet. Leo sat up on the cot. Sarah reached for Adam's hand. Even though they all believed they knew what the results would say, seeing it in writing would make it official. Undeniable. Adam opened the envelope with trembling hands. He pulled out the paper and read it. For a moment, he didn't move. He just stared at the paper. Then he looked up at Leo, and his face broke into the biggest, most joyful smile anyone had ever seen. 99.9% match, he read aloud, his voice thick with emotion. "Leo, you are my son. Officially, scientifically, undeniably, my son." Leo jumped off the cot and ran to Adam. He picked him up and spun him around, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. "I have a dad," Leo cried. "I really have a dad." "And I have a son," Adam said, holding him tight, "the most wonderful son in the whole world." Sarah watched them, tears streaming down her face, but these were happy tears, tears of relief and joy and hope. Her family was finally together. Adam sat Leo down and went to Sarah's bedside. He took her hand and kissed it gently. "Our son," he said softly. "We have a son, Sarah." "I know," Sarah whispered. "I'm sorry it took so long for you to know too." "The past is the past," Adam said. "What matters now is the future, our future together." But even as they celebrated, Adam knew there was still one huge obstacle they had to face. His mother. She still didn't know about Sarah and Leo, and when she found out, Adam knew there would be a battle. His mother had controlled his life for too long, had made too many decisions for him, had destroyed his happiness once before, but not this time. This time, Adam was ready to fight. The next morning, Adam woke up early. He had barely slept, his mind turning over what he needed to do. Sarah and Leo were still sleeping peacefully. Sarah in her hospital bed, looking healthier than she had in days, and Leo curled up on the cot, hugging his old stuffed animal. Adam looked at them for a long moment, feeling his resolve strengthened. These were his people, his family, and he would protect them no matter what. He quietly left the room and went down to the hospital lobby. Outside, the sun was just rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Adam pulled out his phone and made a call. "Mother," he said when she answered, "I need to see you today. It's important." His mother, Eleanor Hayes, sounded annoyed at being called so early. "Adam, darling, I'm having brunch with the ladies from the charity board at 11 o'clock. Can't this wait?" "No," Adam said firmly. "It can't wait. Cancel your brunch. I'll be at the house in 1 hour." "Adam, really, your tone." "1 hour, Mother," Adam repeated and hung up before she could argue. He went back upstairs and found Sarah awake. She smiled when she saw him, but the smile faded when she saw the serious look on his face. "You're going to see her, aren't you?" Sarah said quietly. "Your mother?" Adam nodded. "I have to. She needs to know about you and Leo, and she needs to answer for what she did 10 years ago. Sarah's hand went to her throat nervously. "Adam, maybe we should wait. Maybe—" "No more waiting," Adam said gently but firmly. He sat on the edge of her bed and took her hand. "Sarah, I've let my mother control my life for too long. She chose my schools, my career, even tried to choose my friends. But the one thing I chose for myself was you. I loved you. I wanted to marry you. And she took that away from both of us. But what if she—" "She can't hurt you anymore," Adam interrupted. "I won't let her. Sarah, you and Leo are going to be safe. I promise you that." Sarah searched his face and saw the determination there. This was not the young man she had known 10 years ago, the one who had loved her but who had still been under his mother's thumb. This was a man who had grown stronger, harder, more sure of himself. "Okay," Sarah whispered. "But Adam, be careful. Your mother is very clever, very manipulative." "I know," Adam said. "I've had 10 years to see that clearly." Leo woke up then, rubbing his eyes sleepily. "Where are you going?" he asked Adam. Adam went over and kissed the top of his head, a gesture that came naturally to him now. I have to go talk to someone, but I'll be back soon. You stay here and take care of your mum. Okay, Leo said, then more quietly, is it her, the mean grandmother? Adam was surprised. How did you… I heard you and Mum talking last night, Leo admitted. I wasn't really asleep. Adam knelt down beside the cot so he was eye level with Leo. Yes, I'm going to talk to her, and I'm going to make sure she understands that she can never hurt you or your mother again. What if she tries to take us away from you? Leo asked, fear creeping into his voice. She can't, Adam said firmly. You're my son. The DNA test proves it. And your mother is the woman I love. No one, not my mother, not anyone can change that. Leo threw his arms around his neck. Come back soon, he whispered. I will, Adam promised. An hour later, Adam pulled up to his mother's house, a huge estate on the other side of town, even bigger than his own mansion. This was where he had grown up, in this cold, perfect house where everything had to be just right, and nothing was ever quite good enough. He used his key to let himself in. The housekeeper, Mrs. Potts, looked surprised to see him. Mr. Adam, your mother didn't tell me you were coming. Where is she? Adam asked. In the morning room, sir, but she's not in a good mood. She had to cancel her brunch. Adam didn't wait to hear more. He walked through the familiar halls with their expensive paintings and antique furniture, straight to the morning room where his mother always had her breakfast. Eleanor Hayes was sitting at a small table by the window, looking elegant as always, in a designer suit, her grey hair perfectly styled. She was reading the newspaper and sipping coffee from a delicate china cup. She looked up when Adam entered, her expression cool and slightly annoyed. Adam, she said, this had better be important. I had to disappoint Mrs. Davies. And you know how she gets. It's important, Adam said, closing the door behind him. He didn't sit down. He stood in front of her, his hands clenched at his sides. Where were you 10 years ago on the night of March 15th? His mother's face showed nothing. March 15th. Adam, that was 10 years ago. How on earth would I remember? You remember, Adam said coldly, because that was the night Sarah disappeared. That was the night the woman I loved vanished without a trace. And I've spent the last 10 years wondering why. Eleanor set down her coffee cup carefully. Adam, this is about that girl again. I thought you'd moved past. Her name is Sarah, Adam interrupted, his voice rising. And I haven't moved past her because I never stopped loving her. But you knew that, didn't you, Mother? You've always known. I don't know what you're talking about, Eleanor said coolly, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of worry quickly hidden. Don't lie to me, Adam said. Not anymore. Sarah told me everything. She told me how you came to her with your thugs in the middle of the night, how you threatened to have her arrested on false charges, how you gave her money and told her to disappear. Eleanor's face remained calm, but her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. If this Sarah person told you such ridiculous stories… She's not lying, Adam shouted, his control finally breaking. I know she's not lying because it's exactly the kind of thing you would do. You've been controlling my life since I was born. You chose my school, my friends, my career. You've manipulated and threatened and schemed to make sure everything goes according to your plan. But Sarah wasn't part of your plan, was she? She was just a normal girl, not rich enough, not important enough for your precious son. She was completely unsuitable. Eleanor snapped, her own composure cracking. She was a nobody, Adam. A poor girl with no family, no connections, no prospects. She would have dragged you down, ruined everything I worked so hard to build for you. There it is, Adam said, his voice shaking with anger. Finally, the truth. You did threaten her. You did drive her away. Eleanor stood up, her eyes flashing. I did what was necessary to protect you. You were young and foolish, infatuated with a pretty face. You would have thrown away your entire future for her. I loved her, Adam shouted. I loved her and you destroyed it. You destroyed both our lives because of your pride and your obsession with status. I saved you from making a terrible mistake, Eleanor shot back. That girl would have trapped you, gotten pregnant deliberately to secure her future. She did get pregnant, Adam roared. The room went completely silent. Eleanor stared at her son, her face pale. What? Sarah was pregnant when you drove her away, Adam said, his voice now cold and hard. She was carrying my child, my son, and because of what you did, I didn't know about him. For 9 years, I didn't know I had a son. Eleanor's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. His name is Leo, Adam continued. He's 9 years old. He's smart and brave and wonderful, and he's been living in poverty in a one-room apartment, selling oranges on the street to buy medicine for his sick mother. My son, your grandson, living like that because of what you did. Adam, I didn't know. I thought. No, you didn't know because you didn't care, Adam said. You didn't care what happened to Sarah after you threatened her. You didn't care that she might be pregnant. You just wanted her gone and damned the consequences. Eleanor sank back into her chair, her usual composure completely shattered. You have a son? She whispered. Yes, Adam said. I have a son and I have the DNA test to prove it. 99.9% match. He is my son. Undeniably, legally, biologically mine. I didn't know, Eleanor repeated, but her voice was weak now, uncertain. That doesn't make it better, Adam said. In fact, it makes it worse. You were so focused on your own plans, your own vision of what my life should be, that you didn't stop to think about the consequences. You threatened an innocent pregnant woman and drove her away. You kept me from my own child. Eleanor looked up at him, and for the first time in his life, Adam saw something like fear in his mother's eyes. What? What are you going to do? Adam walked to the window and looked out at the perfectly manicured garden. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but firm. Sarah and Leo are my family now, he said. They're going to live with me. I'm going to take care of them, protect them, give them the life they should have had all along. And you, Mother, are going to leave them alone. Adam, I'm not finished, Adam said, turning to face her. If you ever threaten Sarah or Leo again, if you try to hurt them or drive them away or manipulate them in any way, I will cut you out of my life completely. No visits, no phone calls, no family events. You will never see me or your grandson again. Do you understand? Eleanor's face had gone white. You can't mean that, Adam. I'm your mother. And Sarah is the woman I love, and Leo is my son, Adam said. They come first, always. You can either accept that and be part of our lives, or you can fight it and lose me forever. The choice is yours. Eleanor sat frozen, staring at her son. She had never seen him like this, so strong, so certain, so beyond her control. I want to meet him, she finally said quietly. Sarah or Leo? Both of them, Eleanor said. I want to meet my grandson. Adam studied his mother carefully. Was this genuine, or was it another manipulation? Why? He asked suspiciously. Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than Adam had ever heard it. Because I made a terrible mistake, because I let my pride and my plans destroy something precious, and because, she paused, her hands trembling slightly, because I want to try to make it right, if that's even possible. Adam didn't trust this sudden change of heart, but he saw something in his mother's eyes that gave him pause. Regret, maybe, or shame, or perhaps just the realization that she had finally pushed too far and was about to lose everything. You'll meet them, Adam said slowly. But not yet. First, Sarah needs to get better. She's been very ill because she couldn't afford proper medical care, because she was struggling alone to raise our son. When she's strong enough, when she's ready, then you can meet them. But Mother, he stepped closer, his voice hard, if you say one word, one single word that hurts either of them, if you show any sign of the cruelty you showed 10 years ago, you will never see any of us again. I mean it. Eleanor nodded slowly. I understand. Do you? Adam challenged. Do you really understand what you did? You didn't just separate two people who loved each other. You forced a woman to raise a child alone in poverty. You kept a father from his son. You created years of suffering because you thought you knew better than everyone else. Tears appeared in Eleanor's eyes, something Adam had never seen before. His mother never cried. "I thought I was protecting you," she whispered. "No," Adam said coldly. "You thought you were controlling me. There's a difference." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door and looked back. "I'm going to marry Sarah," he said. "As soon as she's well enough, I'm going to ask her to be my wife. And this time, Mother, nothing you say or do will stop me. She and Leo are my family now. They are what matters. Remember that." He walked out, leaving his mother sitting alone in the morning room, for once in her life, completely speechless and powerless. Adam drove back to the hospital, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. The confrontation with his mother had left him shaking, not with fear, but with relief. For the first time in his life, he had stood up to her completely. He had chosen his own happiness over her control. When he walked back into Sarah's hospital room, both Sarah and Leo looked up anxiously. "How did it go?" Sarah asked nervously. Adam sat down on the edge of her bed and took her hand. She admitted it. She admitted everything, threatening you, driving you away, all of it. Sarah's eyes widened. "She did?" "Yes, and I told her that if she ever tries to hurt you or Leo again, she'll lose me forever." Adam looked at both of them. "You're my family now. You come first. Always." Leo ran over and hugged Adam tightly. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "What did she say?" Sarah asked. Is she angry?" "I think she's scared," Adam said honestly. "She realizes she went too far and that she might lose everything. She asked to meet you both." Sarah went pale. "I don't know if I can face her, Adam. I'm still afraid of her." "You don't have to see her until you're ready," Adam said firmly. "And when you do, I'll be right there beside you. She can't hurt you anymore, Sarah. I won't let her." Over the next few days, Sarah continued to recover. The infection was clearing up. Her strength was returning and color was coming back to her face. Dr. Evans was pleased with her progress. "Another few days and you should be able to go home," the doctor said with a smile. "Home?" Sarah repeated softly, looking at Adam. "I don't really have a home to go to." "That apartment." "You're coming home with me," Adam said immediately. "Both of you, to my house. Our house." He looked at Leo. "Would you like that? To live in the big house with the garden?" Leo's face lit up. "Really? We can live there?" "Of course," Adam said. "It's been too empty for too long. It needs a family to fill it with life and laughter." Sarah started crying again, happy tears this time. "Adam, are you sure? This is all happening so fast." "We've already lost 10 years, Adam said gently. "I don't want to waste another day." On Sarah's last day in the hospital, Adam brought them both new clothes, beautiful, comfortable clothes that fit properly and looked brand new because they were. Leo spun around in his new pants and shirt, grinning with delight. Sarah ran her hands over the soft fabric of her new outfit, hardly believing it was hers. When they left the hospital, Adam's car was waiting. He drove them not to his house, but somewhere else first. "Where are we going?" Leo asked from the back seat. "You'll see," Adam said with a mysterious smile. He pulled up in front of a nice restaurant, the kind with white tablecloths and fancy silverware. Sarah looked nervous. "Adam, I don't think I'm dressed nicely enough for a place like this." "You look beautiful," Adam said, "and besides, I know the owner. Come on." Inside, they were seated at a quiet table by the window. Leo had never been to a restaurant like this. He stared at everything with wide eyes. The crystal glasses, the cloth napkins, the menu with dishes he couldn't even pronounce. "Order anything you want," Adam told him. They had a wonderful meal. Leo tried things he'd never tasted before. Sarah laughed more than she had in years, and Adam just watched them, his heart so full, it felt like it might burst. After dessert, Adam reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. "Sarah," he said softly, 10 years ago I was going to ask you something. I had bought a ring and everything. I was just waiting for the right moment." Sarah's breath caught. "Adam, but then you disappeared. I thought I'd lost my chance forever." Adam pulled a small box from his pocket. "I kept the ring all these years. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Somehow I always hoped." He opened the box. Inside was a beautiful diamond ring. Simple but elegant. Leo gasped. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. "Sarah," Adam said, his voice thick with emotion, "I know we've been through so much. I know we have a lot to rebuild. But I've loved you for 10 years. And I'll love you for 10,000 more. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Adam. Yes." Adam slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, just as it had been meant to all those years ago. Then he stood up, pulled Sarah to her feet, and kissed her while Leo clapped and laughed and cried all at the same time. The other people in the restaurant noticed and started clapping too. It was a moment of pure joy, pure love, pure rightness. That evening they finally went to Adam's mansion. When Leo walked through the gates this time, it felt completely different. Last time he had been a poor boy selling oranges, afraid and uncertain. Now he was coming home. Sarah stood in the entrance hall, looking around with wonder and a little bit of fear. "This is really going to be our home." "Our home," Adam confirmed. He turned to Leo. "Do you want to pick out your room? The house has 8 bedrooms. You can have whichever one you want." Leo's eyes went huge. "My own room? Really?" "Really," Adam said with a laugh. "Come on, I'll show you." They walked through the house together, and Leo looked at each bedroom. Finally, he chose one on the second floor, with big windows that looked out over the garden. It had pale blue walls and plenty of space for playing. "This one," he said with certainty. "This is perfect." "Then it's yours," Adam said. "Tomorrow we'll go shopping for furniture and decorations. You can pick out everything. Bed, desk, toys, books, whatever you want." Leo hugged him tight. "Thank you, Dad." It was the first time he had called him that without any hesitation, and the word made Adam's heart soar. That night they ordered pizza and ate it sitting on the floor of the living room, laughing and talking. Adam told Leo stories about when he was young. Sarah shared memories of when Leo was a baby. They were starting to weave their separate histories into one shared story. Later, after Leo had fallen asleep in his new room on a temporary mattress Adam had set up, Adam and Sarah sat together in the garden under the stars. "I still can't believe this is real," Sarah said softly, leaning against Adam's shoulder. "It feels like a dream." "If it is, I never want to wake up," Adam said. He turned to look at her in the moonlight. "Sarah, I need to ask you something. Will you forgive me?" "Forgive you?" Sarah looked confused. "For what?" "For not finding you sooner, for not seeing through my mother's manipulation, for not being there when Leo was born, when you were struggling, when you needed me most." Sarah took his face in her hands. "Adam, none of that was your fault. You didn't know. If anyone needs forgiveness, it's me. I should have found a way to tell you the truth. I should have been braver." "We were both victims of my mother's cruelty," Adam said, "but that's over now. From now on, we make our own choices. We build our own life," Sarah said. "Together," Adam agreed. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being close to each other after so many years apart. "When do you think we should get married?" Sarah asked. "Tomorrow," Adam suggested, making her laugh. "I need a little more time than that," Sarah said. "But soon. I don't want to wait too long. We've already waited enough." "Next month then," Adam said. "A small ceremony, just family and close friends. Nothing fancy, just us, promising to love each other forever." "That sounds perfect," Sarah said. "There's one more thing we need to discuss," Adam said, his tone becoming more serious. "My mother, she still wants to meet you and Leo." Sarah tensed. "I know, and I know I'll have to face her eventually. But Adam, I'm still scared of her." "I understand," Adam said, "and you don't have to see her until you're ready. But Sarah, I think Leo should know who his grandmother is. Not because Eleanor deserves it, but because Leo deserves to know his full family, even the difficult parts." Sarah thought about this. "You're right," she finally said, "but I want to be there when they meet. And at the first sign of any meanness or manipulation, we leave. Immediately," Adam promised. "I won't let her hurt either of you." 2 weeks later, Sarah felt ready. Adam arranged for his mother to come to the mansion, not the other way around. This was their territory, their home, and Eleanor would be the guest. The morning of the meeting, Leo was nervous. He wore one of his new outfits and kept fidgeting. "What if she doesn't like me?" Leo asked. "Then that's her loss," Sarah said firmly. "Leo, you are wonderful exactly as you are. If your grandmother can't see that, it's her problem, not yours." "Your mum is right," Adam added, "and remember, we can end this visit at any time. If you feel uncomfortable or scared, just say the word and she leaves." When the doorbell rang, they all tensed. Adam went to answer it, leaving Sarah and Leo waiting in the living room. Eleanor Hayes walked in, and for the first time Sarah saw the woman who had destroyed her life 10 years ago. Eleanor was tall and elegant, dressed in an expensive suit, her hair perfect, her jewelry understated but clearly costly. She looked every inch the wealthy, powerful woman she was. But when Eleanor's eyes landed on Leo, something in her face changed. She stopped walking and just stared. Leo looked back at her, trying to be brave, even though his heart was pounding. "He has your eyes, Adam," Eleanor said softly, "and your father's smile." It was not what anyone had expected her to say. Eleanor took a step closer to Leo, then seemed to remember herself and stopped. "Hello, Leo," she said, and her voice was gentler than Adam had ever heard it. "I'm your grandmother." "Hello," Leo said quietly. Eleanor turned to Sarah, and the two women faced each other for the first time in 10 years. Sarah instinctively moved closer to Adam, who put a protective arm around her. "Sarah," Eleanor said. Her voice was formal, controlled, but there was something underneath it. Shame, perhaps, or regret. I owe you an apology." The room went silent. "What I did to you 10 years ago was wrong," Eleanor continued, each word seeming difficult for her to say. "I threatened you, I frightened you, and I drove you away from the man you loved. I did it because I thought I was protecting my son. But I was wrong. I hurt all three of you, Adam, and Leo, and for that I am truly sorry." Sarah didn't know what to say. She had imagined this moment many times over the years, but she had always pictured Eleanor being cruel or dismissive, never apologetic. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Eleanor went on. "I'm not sure I deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that if I could go back and change what I did, I would. And I want to ask if perhaps in time, you might allow me to be part of Leo's life, to try to be the grandmother he deserves." Adam was watching his mother with surprise and suspicion. Was this real, or was it another manipulation? Sarah looked at Leo, who was watching his grandmother with curious eyes. Then Sarah looked at Adam, who gave her a small nod. The decision was hers. "I can't forget what you did," Sarah said finally, her voice steady, "and I'm not ready to forgive you yet." But she paused, thinking of Leo, thinking of family, thinking of second chances. "But I believe people can change, so if you truly mean what you say, if you really want to be part of Leo's life, then we can try. Slowly. With boundaries." Eleanor's eyes grew shiny with tears. Real tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's more than I deserve." She turned to Leo again. "Leo, would it be all right if I sat down and talked with you for a few minutes? I'd like to get to know you." Leo looked at his parents, both of them now, not just one. Sarah nodded encouragingly. Adam smiled. "Okay," Leo said. Eleanor sat down carefully on the sofa, and Leo sat in a chair across from her. Adam and Sarah stayed close, watching carefully, ready to intervene if needed. "Tell me about yourself," Eleanor said to Leo. "What do you like to do? What's your favorite subject in school?" And slowly, carefully, Leo began to talk. He told his grandmother about his friends, about how he liked to draw, about his favorite books. Eleanor listened, really listened, asking questions and seeming genuinely interested. As the conversation went on, Sarah felt some of her fear begin to ease. Maybe Eleanor really was trying to change. Maybe people could learn from their mistakes. The visit lasted about an hour. When it was time for Eleanor to leave, she stood and looked at all three of them. "Thank you for giving me this chance," she said. "I know I have a long way to go to earn your trust." but I want to try." After she left, Adam let out a long breath. "Well, that was unexpected." "Do you think she meant it?" Sarah asked. "I think she's scared of losing me completely," Adam said honestly, "but maybe that fear will make her better. Time will tell." Leo came over and hugged both his parents. "I think she's sad," he said with a child's insight. "I think she's been lonely for a long time, like all of us were." Adam looked down at his wise son and smiled. "You might be right about that." The weeks passed and life in the mansion began to feel normal. Leo started at a new school, a good school, where the teachers were kind and the other kids were friendly. He made friends quickly and loved having his own room filled with books and toys and art supplies. Sarah's health continued to improve. With good food, rest, and no stress, she became stronger every day. She started to look like the young woman in the photograph again, happy and full of life. Adam had never been happier. He woke up every morning to the sound of his son's laughter. He came home from work to Sarah's smile. The mansion that had once felt cold and empty now felt warm and alive. Eleanor kept her word. She visited once a week, always respectful, always careful not to overstep. She brought Leo gifts, but never tried to buy his affection. She was polite to Sarah and seemed genuinely to be trying to make amends. Slowly, very slowly, the wounds began to heal. One evening, exactly 1 month after Adam had proposed, they held a small wedding ceremony in the mansion's garden. Leo was the ring bearer, wearing a smart little suit and carrying the rings on a pillow. A few close friends attended, and even Eleanor was there, sitting quietly in the back, crying softly throughout the ceremony. When Adam and Sarah exchanged their vows, promising to love each other through everything, there wasn't a dry eye in the garden. "I've loved you for 10 years, Adam said, holding Sarah's hands, "and I'll love you for the rest of my life." "You are my home," Sarah replied. "You and Leo, you always were." They kissed and Leo cheered, and everyone clapped. It was a small wedding, but it was perfect. That night, after all the guests had left and Leo was asleep upstairs, Adam and Sarah stood in the garden where they had gotten married just hours before. "Do you remember what you said to me the first day we met?" Sarah asked. Adam thought back. "I think I said you had the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen." "You said that life was full of surprises," Sarah corrected with a laugh. "And you were right. I never could have imagined this, all of this, when I was a scared girl running away 10 years ago." "And I never imagined," Adam said, "that a little boy selling oranges would walk into my life and give me back everything I thought I'd lost forever." They stood there in the moonlight, holding each other, thinking about the long journey that had brought them to this moment. The pain, the separation, the lost years, all of it had led them here. "Do you think we'll be happy?" Sarah asked softly. "We already are," Adam replied. "We have each other. We have Leo. We have a second chance that most people never get." "Yes, Sarah, we're going to be very happy." And they were. Leo grew up in the mansion, surrounded by love and laughter. He never forgot the hard times, the tiny apartment, the days of selling oranges, the feeling of being without a father. But those memories made him kind and compassionate. He never took his blessings for granted. Adam and Sarah's love only grew stronger with time. They had weathered the worst storm imaginable and come through it together. Nothing could shake them now. Even Eleanor changed. She would never be warm or demonstrative, but she learned to be kinder, gentler. She learned that control wasn't love, and that sometimes letting go was the greatest gift you could give. Years later, when Leo was grown, he would sometimes tell his own children the story of how his parents found each other again. "Your grandfather was selling oranges," he would say, "and he knocked on a stranger's door. But that stranger wasn't a stranger at all. He was his father, the man who had been looking for his mother for 10 years, and when he asked one simple question, 'Why is my mum's photo in your mansion?' everything changed." "It sounds like a fairy tale," his children would say. "It does," Leo would agree, "but it's better than a fairy tale because it's true. And it teaches us that love never gives up. No matter how much time passes, no matter what obstacles get in the way, real love finds a way back home." And in the mansion that had once been cold and empty, the family lived happily. Not in the way fairy tales end, where everything is perfect, but in the real way, where there were still challenges and hard days, but there was always love to carry them through. The photograph of young Sarah that had started it all still sat on the table by the staircase, but now beside it was another photo, a new one showing Adam, Sarah, and Leo together, smiling, a complete family at last. And whenever any of them looked at those photographs, they remembered the truth that had saved them all. When love is real, it never truly ends. It waits, it hopes, it endures. And when the time is right, it finds its way back home. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Like, share, and comment on the lessons you've learned. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below.